Hey guys, and welcome to yet another video of Saute with D Java. I'm your host Dushan Java, a certified pastry chef who brings to you some amazing eggless and vegetarian recipes for you to make in your kitchens. So today's recipe is something very versatile. It is a bread that can go with numerous amount of curries, gravies, you name it. It can be used for making snacks. You can make wraps out of it as you like. So today's recipe is going to be pita pockets. So we are making a healthier version than the regular version that we get in the market. We would be doing a mix of whole wheat as well as all-purpose flour, and hence it's going to be slightly healthier than what we would usually get in the market. Also, the fact that breads in the market usually have a lot of preservatives in them, but at home we wouldn't be using any. So I guess we can start with our recipe. But first, as usual, there would be a tip lined up for you at the end of the video. So I would request you to view the full video until the end for the tip. For this recipe, we should need 300 grams of wheat flour and 200 grams of all-purpose flour. Next, we will need 50 grams of milk powder. We shall need 8 grams of instant yeast, 50 ml of oil. You can use any oil. I'm using sunflower oil. 20 grams of fine granulated white sugar, 10 grams of table salt, 350 ml of warm water. You can use normal tap water or you can also use mineral water, as you please. To begin this recipe, we shall take our stand mixer bowl and we will add both the flours, which is the wheat flour and the all-purpose flour, to this bowl. We shall add the sugar, salt, yeast, and we shall sieve in the milk powder. Once the milk powder has been added, we will mix the flour and all the other mixture together very nicely. Once this is done, we will place it on the stand mixer with a hook attachment and run it on a medium speed for a minute. I have my bowl on my stand mixer with the hook attachment, and now I shall run it for a minute on medium speed. Now I would be slowly incorporating the warm water to form a firm dough. When most of the water has been incorporated and there is about 100 ml left, we will incorporate the oil as well as the water together at this stage. So here goes the oil. Awesome. So as you can see that the dough has been incorporated completely. Now we will knead it for another 2 to 3 minutes on medium to high speed until it's elastic and firm. Okay, so as you can see, the dough is very nice. It won't be too elastic since we are using more of wheat flour and less of the all-purpose flour, and also the fact that it won't stick a lot to your bowl since, again, we're using wheat flour as well in this recipe. So our dough is firm. Now I'll just remove it on the kitchen counter and knead it for a few more minutes. Okay, so I've got my dough with me. This recipe won't require a lot of oil on your platform, so you need not use any oil at all. You can just keep kneading it and massaging it very lightly. Be sure to see what motion I'm using. It's a cross motion, and I'm trying to pull the strands of our gluten which are formed. You can do it with both hands like how I'm doing. So basically, if you have the dough like this, you can either go with single hands like this. If you want to generate more gluten, if it's not been enough on your machine, then you are going to pull it with both hands. This action helps in generating a lot of gluten. But since my dough is already nice and firm and I don't require a lot more of gluten generation, if you can see, it's very nice and stretchy. And since it's wheat flour, obviously it's going to be a little bit more thicker than our all-purpose flour, and it would be of high density. So, but nonetheless, the pita pockets turn out very amazing with this. Like, it's a foolproof recipe. You wouldn't go wrong at all. And it gives beautiful pita pockets, which you can use for hummus. You can pair it up with falafel. You can put in your own fillings. It comes right warm out of the oven, and it's so great to eat. Nothing like what you get in the market. Okay, dough nice and firm. So I'll just push it down a bit. Pull in the corners. Guys, this step is very important, pulling in the corners so that you get a firm top like this. If you do not pull in the corners from one end and bring a firm top from the other, you will not have an even rise in your dough. So now look at my motion, making a firm dough. So now this is super tight, and when I press it, it springs back. So, yep. Now I will put it in a bowl, a greased bowl, and let it rise for another 45 minutes or until it's nicely doubled, and then we shall see what to do next. I have placed this in my bowl and I have loosely put up a cling wrap. You can use any wrap you like. Okay, so I am back and the dough has nicely risen, and now I will just open up the dough, pull it off on a counter. Now before that, I would like to suggest, if you prepare a few things, firstly, we'll require a bowl full of all-purpose flour. This is just for dusting. You can just remove it out of a packet as well. You would also require a scraper or something with which you can cut your dough. You would also require any butter paper sheet which fits in your oven. I can fit in almost 2 of these size, whatever you can fit in. And you keep all of this ready. Now, firstly, dust enough flour on your counter. Also, one more thing which I forgot to inform, before we start with this step, just start preheating your oven at the highest setting possible, say around 200 to 220 degrees Celsius. We need a very hot oven for the pita pockets to rise. So 200 to 220 degrees Celsius, just keep it on before you start this step. I have already switched on my oven and I have let it preheat. Beautiful dough. Nice bubbles as well, as you can see. Now I'm just pressing it lightly, removing the excess gas and rolling it into a log. And just giving it a nice roll. Just press in the sides to form a good roll. Now I'll start taking a little by little of the dough. Press it down nicely. Pull in the sides like how we did earlier to form a nice dough ball. So as you can see, I've got a firm ball, and now I will just, the motion is to cup your hand like this and then roll it. And now just dust one corner or one end of your counter. Say I am doing it here, and start placing these like this. Just place it there. Don't do anything with it. Just place it and continue doing your
Next, do balls like how you do it. So this, and press and roll. So I will do this for all, and I will start keeping them aside. If you have too much of dough and you're not comfortable with doing it quickly, I would suggest that you would cover this, like all of these, like how I keep placing them, you cover this with a cling wrap so that they don't dry out. If you can be quick enough, then it's totally okay, but the best would be to cover it with a cling wrap. Okay, so as you can see, I'm done with rolling all of these, and as you can see, the ones which I did first, which are here, they have risen a bit, whereas the ones which I did at the end, they're still on the same size. So it's good that if they rise, you can give it 5 to 10 minutes max. It's not required, but it would give a nice texture if you let it rise a bit. So now what do we do next? We take our rolling pin. You can also do it with hand, but rolling pin is just easier. Dust your rolling pin very nicely, dust the platform very nicely. You don't want less flour in this, you don't want it to stick. And what do we do? I'll take the ones which I had rolled first. I place them and I roll them nice into whatever thickness you prefer. If you prefer thicker pitas, you can do thick ones. If you prefer slimmer ones, you can do slimmer ones, but it's totally upon you. They don't rise a lot. They do rise, obviously, they puff up very nice, but they don't rise in terms of the bread content a lot. So you can make them nice and thin. You can make them fat as you like. Once you are done rolling with it, just dust it off just a bit. We don't want a lot of excess flour. Most will go once we are baking it, but and this is how it's done. Now what do? We take our butter paper and we place this. Now we roll, say around 2-3, however you can fit on this, and just place it, keep placing it on this, and then pop it in the oven together. Now about the pita pockets, it rises in the oven within 2 to 3 minutes. So you need just 2 minutes, 3 minutes on either side, and they're done. So if you want to have it warm, do it then. Don't preheat them, and don't prepare them from before. I would advise if you could just prepare them then and there, because they are good to eat warm. Not like they don't taste good cold. You can warm them up in your microwave. They won't have the best texture, obviously, but it's better to have them warm. You would love the texture and also the feel of a warm pita. If you're using it not for eating with hummus but actually for falafels, then I can suggest you can make the pitas from before, because warm pitas don't go pretty well with a falafel sandwich. Like, you need them to cool down just a bit. So you can probably prepare them like 15-20 minutes earlier. So again, my sheet. So I think I can fit in 3 pitas here, and I will take this as is, place it on my hot oven tray, which is at around 220 degrees Celsius. That's the best temperature. Higher the temperature, the better. Don't go more than 220 though. You don't want to burn the pitas. So yeah, I'll roll all of the rest and I'll show you how it's done in the oven. Okay, so as you can see, 3 pitas on my baking paper. Now, if you prefer doing thick pitas, they go really well with Indian curries, especially. If you're doing thick pitas, I'm not kidding, they go pretty well. What I would suggest is you keep this on the counter for another 10 to 15 minutes and they can rise a bit so that you get a very thick and fluffy texture. But if you want normal thin pitas to go with Arabic food, then you can just pop it in the oven directly right now and bake it. It takes hardly 2 to 3 minutes on either side, that's all. Okay, so my oven is beaming hot and I've placed these like this, and now I will let them rise. So as you can see how beautifully they have puffed up. So now I'll just flip them. So as you can see, they're beautifully puffed, very nice, soft, and super warm as well. But okay, I'm trying to tear one, but they are too hot. But just to show you how the texture is of the pockets. See, as you can see, one side has the bread and the other side just has the puffed up section. So it's turned out really beautiful. and it's healthier than the ones we get in the market, obviously, because it has whole wheat flour as well. So enjoy these warm. You can bake them more or less however you like it. It's totally upon you. If you don't like it too dark, you can just remove it once they have puffed up. They would be definitely cooked, but this is how the texture is. Beautiful, nice cooked texture.
So everyone, I hope you enjoyed my recipe. This recipe has very simple ingredients and it's super easy to make and can be made in a jiffy if you have already done the preparations for the dough. So I hope you enjoy these warm and super fluffy pita pockets that would go well in making a falafel sandwich, a Mexican wrap, or it can go great with random Indian curries as well. So, as suggested at the beginning of the video, the tip of today is you need to learn how your oven temperature works. At times, the temperatures that are mentioned on the oven itself may not be the accurate temperature that's inside your oven. The best way to judge this is to either try out a couple of recipes in which you know that you would get a certain result at a certain temperature. Another way that you could know how your oven temperature works is having a small oven thermometer. This could be just set inside your oven. It could be hanged on one of these racks and you would constantly know as to what temperature your oven really is. So it's a good investment for having a small thermometer. It doesn't cost a lot and it really helps you if you're interested in baking continuously. So I hope you guys enjoyed the recipe and the tip. Thank you so much for viewing my video.